The Chicago business scene is as diverse as the city itself, but we don't always hear from the entrepreneurs who keep the Chicago economy colorful. That's where I come in. I'm Mikai Brown, and this is the Minority Report. People have many opinions about Billy Dec, but one thing is undeniable. This dude is everywhere.
What's up? It's Billy Dec.
What up?
It's Billy Dec. What up? It's Billy Dec.
Hey, what up? It's Billy. I'm in Africa.
When he's not overseeing his flagship business, Rockit Ranch Productions, his multitude of restaurants, or regularly appearing on Windy City Live, he sits on the Presidential Advisory Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I managed to catch up with him to talk about his Filipino heritage, how he became what he is today, and his interaction with Prince. Yeah, that Prince. You were a bouncer, a promoter, went to law school, went to business school. There's a whole lot going on.
I actually liked making money really early on. I remember in 6th grade I was a coat check kid at this little Chinese restaurant, and then when it got warm and there were no more coats, I begged them to let me fry egg rolls at the street fairs, and I always wanted to make money of some sort. I just enjoyed it, and I liked being in front of people and making them happy. Thankfully, having had so much experience working odd jobs at restaurants, I was able to get jobs when I really needed them, because what happened in high school was my dad got really sick, and he ended up losing the business and was in hospitals, and he ended up passing away early, and it really forced me to jump into those old relationships and take any job I could at any restaurant. That then led to the opportunity that kind of changed my course at 19 when I was asked to be a bouncer.
All right, so all your businesses are in Chicago. Why? How do you like doing business in Chicago?
You work with what you have, and all I had coming out of college and then through law school was zero money, but a ton of relationships, because I used every opportunity as a doorman to shake hands with people, figure out what they want, needed, desired, because a lot of times I couldn't even actually give it to them at that moment at the door because of capacity reasons, whatever the deal was. But I would take their information, and I would, instead of being like guy who flexes behind the doorman and not stare at you because he has a fancy suit, I was super Chicago. It was Midwest hospitality for me. I was greeting and delivering comfort. I would take their numbers down. You'd write it down in a notebook, and I would call them throughout the week. I'd be like, hey man, it's me. I know I couldn't let you in, but I want to make it right for you. Do you have a date coming up? You're going out with your people, you're going out with your friends. All right, come in at this time because I know I can get you in. So I would make them have these great experiences. Built wonderful relationships, and out of that, I leveraged it to go into business, and for that reason, it had to be Chicago, it had to be local.
Some may say that they do not necessarily consider the Asian American community at a disadvantage as opposed to other groups. Tell me a little bit about how you feel about that.
Good point. People have not only said that, but they've called them the model minority.
Right.
Like, fantastic, a minority that comes over to America and gets, advanced degrees and makes a lot of money.
Right.
And doesn't get arrested and sends other. We get thrown into this pot. And one of the things that this commission does is pursue better disaggregation of data. And what's happening is most data is just thrown into a bucket. The bad part about that is that our Asian American Pacific Islander community has over 30 different countries and cultures and ethnic backgrounds that make that up. So you may think that the large volume of news that comes out may be glorious and glorified, but there are some backgrounds that suffer from 1 out of 4 in America living in complete poverty, or 15% of that particular ethnic background only has graduated college. So they're at a tremendous disadvantage, because when you look at across the board on how to make certain people who are suffering have access to or just understand that there are whatever financial programs or resources out there to help you, you can't just disallow these people who are equally as deserving as many other people just because they fall into some fake category that we just made up from afar. We just threw you in the bucket.
I can officially label you a hustler, right? From when you were younger.
A
true hustler.
True.
How?
A legal hustler.
Legal hustler.
I hustled really hard
Yes.
with nothing to make something happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So for those younger folks that probably have the same drive and hustle and tenacity as you, can you explain your journey and how you were able to develop capital to start your first restaurant?
First of all, it's in face-to-face human relationship building. There needs to be conversation. There's so much wonderful things happening with social media and online communication. That's great, but as I watch new hires and new interviewees come to the table, there seems to be this lack of ability to communicate verbally, socially, that really was critical to my ability to start a business and raise capital and do anything. So I would tell people immediately invest in relationship building, networking, person to person, as much as possible, because that's a skill. Right. You just have to get that going.
After I build all these great relationships,
yes. So
what do I do next?
We all did a tremendous amount of internships. We integrated ourselves into other people's business models to absorb the failures, the successes, the little acts here and there, and the connection to real world decision makers and doers. You have to get into a restaurant, for instance, and begin to understand the pressures that go on in the accounting office, the pressures that go on with inventory, the pressures that go on with labor and legal, and all these things you would never think about. So you invest your time into learning through real-world experience that happens face-to-face networking and relationship building and real-world internships, or jobs if you can get them, but don't be afraid to work for free just to get in the game.
Who was the most interesting person you met in line?
Oh, I'm gonna just change that question and just answer the way I want to answer. Okay. The most interesting person.
Wait, this is my show.
I know, but I have
to
name drop this. Prince walks up, and he doesn't speak, but his bodyguard does, and he goes, you know, Prince needs another security guard all night, personal bodyguard. And I just was like this, like dude that was 19 that had no business being there, and he went through this whole line of these gigantic, like barbarian-looking huge dudes, and he picked me. And I was his personal bodyguard for the whole night.
No
It was
way.
amazing. So I was walking through the crowd, and that's when I understood the power of followings and the power of celebrity and the power of just emotionally moving large volumes of people with a brand that you build in yourself. I was like, that was amazing. You know, I'm Prince's bodyguard. And I asked the security guy, why did he pick me? Mm-hmm. Why did Prince pick me? And he goes, oh, you were the shortest because he didn't want to look too short next to anybody else. So I usually hide that part of the story, but I told you. So.
Oh, I'm glad you told me.
Yeah.